Welcome back to Thompson Hine's Coffee Chat series. My name is Cassandra Borchers. I'm a partner in Thompson Hine's Investment Management Practice Group. I'm also chair of the Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies Group. Today, we are starting a Coffee Chat series around legal technology. As the legal landscape continues to evolve, leveraging technology to streamline processes and enhance efficiency has become really imperative. We plan to discuss a variety of issues and advancements that are taking place in the legal industry and right here at Thompson Hine. So joining me today is a very experienced panel. First of all, we have Bill Garcia. He's Thompson Hine's Chief Practice Innovation Officer, and Mark Miner, Senior Counsel in the Investment Management Group, also with me in the Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies Group, and Mark's also in Business Litigation. James Jaworski, attorney in our Real Estate Practice Group, and also a member of the Blockchain and Cryptocurrencies team. So we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into the intersection of law and technology, exploring innovative solutions, generative AI, and document automation. We hope today's discussion will be interactive. So if you have a comment or question, please enter that in the chat box found on the right-hand side of your screen. We will address the questions throughout the program and promise to follow up on any questions that we don't get to during our time together. So with that, let's get started. Bill, I would like to start with you, hoping you can educate all of us. So if you could give us an outline of what technology Thompson Hine is currently using, and does any of this include generative AI?
Thank you, Cassandra. Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. We have a wide variety of purpose-built technology solutions. For example, we have a no-code document automation tool that locks in best practices to produce documents for client matters. That's not AI, it's just a technology tool. We have a proprietary data analytics tool that can help plan and predict litigation matters. We have an integrated technology tool that produces closing binders in a fraction of the time that it takes manually, to name just a few. And of course, we're probably best known for our proprietary budget and work planning tool that leverages over a dozen years of data to enable lawyers who are considering drafting a budget to use the firm's history to understand what the likely effort involved for a particular engagement might be. But I think the focus for today is on artificial intelligence technologies. The firm has developed or adopted a variety of tools that use AI to augment our legal service delivery. We have proprietary fee predictors that use artificial intelligence algorithms that we developed to assess matters in our firm database against criteria selected by the budget creator to present historical matters as the potential basis for a new budget draft, so that we are budgeting from reality and experience rather than best guesses. We've licensed several software tools that use natural language processing, which are integrated into our workflows. We have a tool that we've licensed called Lex Machina, which analyzes documents, court dockets, so that we can predict timing for litigation. We have another tool that we've licensed called Kira Systems, which is a machine learning based contract search and review analysis software. Regarding generative AI tools, in keeping with our promise of always innovating, we're going to use LLM and AI tools as fully and as quickly as we can within necessary guardrails. Our strategy is to leverage our knowledge and experience as the human in the middle to provide service that is superior to human-only or machine-only solutions. In Q3 of last year, we launched a private instance of Microsoft Plus OpenAI GPT. A private instance is a large language model trained on a protected source of data not available to the public. Our application developers and innovation team are experimenting to gain insights into how to use that for specific use cases. Part of the challenge in deploying new technology for us and for everyone is creating a structure to support users and to customize the tool. Historically, we've had strong in-house tech capabilities, but there's an arms race right now for people with appropriate skill sets.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to jump in and ask about, I know we've got, you mentioned, we're talking about generative AI, artificial intelligence, LLM, large language models.
Sure.
Maybe you could just take a minute and step back and explain what the specifics are, or what the differences are between the different types of AI?
Sure. Great.
And what that all means for the layperson.
Great question. Great question. Let's 8 concepts. 1, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that's concerned with the creation of systems that can reason, learn, and act autonomously. It's been around for a very long time. Natural language processing is a subfield of AI that processes natural human language, either in text or voice. Some of the most familiar examples are Google's predictive search or spell check or voice recognition. Machine learning is a subset of AI that gives computers the ability to learn without explicit programming. A model will learn patterns in the data and predict outcomes. Deep learning is a subfield of machine learning that uses large artificial neural networks to process more complex and nuanced patterns. So generative AI, we're getting more and more narrow here. Generative AI is a subfield of deep learning that creates new natural language, computer code, image, video, whatever, based on large amounts of training data and a user prompt. A large language model is a subfield of generative AI that creates novel combinations of text in the form of natural sounding language. ChatGPT is a good example of a large language model. A GPT, or a generative pre-trained transformer, is a type of large language model invented by Google in 2017 and later adapted by other tech companies. The key innovation here is the ability to learn nuanced patterns without requiring human curated or labeled data. The thing to remember about these tools is that they are designed to draft. They are designed to provide written responses or designed to provide responses to the prompt. The notion of hallucination or false answers that comes out of the use of some of these technologies is because they aren't designed to find truth. They are designed to write something that is convincing. Mm-hmm. So based on predictive patterns, if the tool sees the word Eiffel, it's going to bet that the next word is tower, and it's going to write Eiffel Tower. So it's a series of algorithms designed to find the most likely next word, if you will. Now, these things happen at massive scale, which is why they can generate so quickly such extensive responses to a prompt. Does that help?
That does help, and it's fascinating. We're all going to be learning a new language as this progresses.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think part of the reality of the next decade is that we are all going to have to learn to do things that 10 years ago we didn't know how to do. But that was true of browsers, and it was true of email, and it's just going forward. So where are we with generative AI? We've adopted Kira, which is, as I said, a document analysis software. Kira has a feature called Smart Summaries that uses generative AI to help legal teams synthesize the content that Kira uncovers in contract and other documents. We were the first law firm in the Kira user base to launch this capability. We've completed a test of a generative AI legal assistant conducted by a select set of test pilots within the firm. We anticipate announcing soon an extended test deployed across the firm of that legal assistant. We've also completed a test of a targeted legal research tool, and we're exploring commercial terms for that. And finally, we're conducting a test of a third system that is designed to work exclusively with our document management system. So the answer is we've deployed generative AI, and we are going to deploy more generative AI.
Sounds like you're busy. That's fantastic. James, I wanted to hop over to you. So I know that you have been an avid user of the newer technologies within the firm and probably personally as well. So what do you consider to be the advantages of Thompson Hine's approach to technology and really to support the legal services that we provide?
You know, it's actually kind of funny. I don't have a ChatGPT account personally. I have never felt the occasion to use it, but you're right. I do professionally. I use all these tools, or at least as many as Bill will let me when it comes to these things. And honestly, I think the fact that, so I'm about 2.5 years, 3 years out of law school now, and the fact that I have access to a lot of these tools, I think is like very indicative of Thompson Hines. Um, strategy in terms of what our plans are to integrate these technologies. I have friends at other firms, and none of them have ever heard of the term legal tech tool, let alone any of these specific programs that we have. And these are friends who are at mid-sized to huge firms. I think our firm does a really good job of getting these tools into the practitioner's hands as fast as possible, whether that's my hands or my assistant's hands or the word processing teams. So we do a really good job. If I do say so myself, we do a good job of getting the tools into our hands. People are really interested in them. Even some of the more senior partners, I think. They might not necessarily know what the tool is, but they know the name of the tool. I think Bill does a good job of making sure everybody at least knows that there are tools out there. So I've had multiple partners come to me and say, James, you know stuff about tech. Well, can we use Kira for this project? And I'm like, well, no, because that's completely different. But we have this other tool that we can use that might be able to help us out here, or this will be able to get us 40% of the way there, which is a lot better than zero. So I think really where Thompson Hine shines is getting those tools in our hands as fast as possible. I was part of the fairly large pilot team working on the AI assistant that Bill was talking about. I think there were, just within the real estate practice group, I think there were like 8 to 10 of us who were part of that pilot program. It was a fairly large program. So yeah, I think it's for me it's fun because we get access to the tools early and quickly, and we have the support, the support teams to, if we mess anything up or if we don't know how to use something, they're there to help us, to help guide us through it.
Yeah, the point of all of this from a law firm's perspective, from our perspective, is to, like Bill said, we're going to have a human in the middle and deliver a superior product. It's to improve upon our legal services, to improve upon efficiencies where we can. Obviously, make sure we're still delivering a quality product, but doing that in a timely manner, or with respect to budget constraints and other things that we might have to deal with. The SmartPath tool that Bill, how long ago did we implement SmartPath? I know in the beginning we were sort of forced to use it, or it was highly encouraged that we use it. But once you get in there and you learn how to use it, it's really invaluable. I use it for every project.
Yeah, Cassandra is referring to the budget and work planning tool, which for many practice groups and many engagement types is mandatory. The use is mandatory. If there is not a budget in the system, whether the client requires it or not, if there's not a budget in the system for these matter types, the matter gets turned off until the budget is there. And the reason for that is that we use the budgets for planning as much as anything, and we use them for monitoring the way that engagement is proceeding, to make sure that we get an early warning if something's not going according to plan. James made the point about getting us 40% of the way there, and I think that's an important point. These technologies are not the computer on Star Trek. They won't do everything for you, but in any other industry, if you could get a 40% savings, you'd be a hero. And so we're thrilled when we can get a 40% efficiency gain in any process that we have.
Thank you, both of you, for that. So Mark, as I already mentioned, one of our goals is to collaborate with our clients to provide superior legal services. And so that's one of the reasons that Thompson Hine is innovating. I guess also behind all of this, why innovate now? We aren't the largest firm in the country. So, why do it now versus waiting and letting some other people take the lead in the space? What are your thoughts around that?
Well, there are a few good reasons. As you know, I created a course on the intersections of financial services and technology, and there's a colleague of mine who's a professor at Yale who lectures all over the country on the impact of AI and on the practice of law. And his mantra is essentially adopt or perish. Because there are institutions that are lagging behind. He thinks that the future, he says often, of the use of AI in the legal practice fall into two categories. You can adopt now into smart technologies and be competitive, or you can wait and you will adopt, but you will adopt technologies that are out of date and be behind. Those are the only two categories. And so there are reasons to do it to be competitive, and there are reasons to do it to provide services to your clients. There are wonderful things that some of which Bill had mentioned already, that AI does on the litigation side, in which I'm a part of litigation. It is predictive technology is being used already by your competitors or our competitors or people on the other side of the V to decide whether to sue, when to sue, where to sue, and whether or not it's reasonable, and using predictive technology for that. It is ubiquitous in discovery tools that we use, and our clients would be at a competitive disadvantage, and we would be at a competitive disadvantage if we are not using those technologies. From the perspective of being an employer, you want to be able to communicate to the students who are coming out of school, some of which are using and receiving in law schools now, introductions and courses on technology and education. Some are even using in legal writing, if you can even call it legal writing, sections on the use of ChatGPT to start your technologies. Now, is that making them stronger writers? I'm not sure. But the law schools are recognizing that these are technologies that are being used. And if an institution like a law firm wants to be competitive in attracting and retaining those employees, then they want to be seen and be using the technologies that will be assisting those professionals in the practice of law.
Wonderful. Just it's incredible over the course of my lifetime, all of the technology changes that have come about, and it just seems like it's picking up steam for sure. You mentioned competition, and we don't want to be in a disadvantage. I would also say in the fund industry, we've got a lot of great partners, clients who are using all sorts of technology, including generative AI, to better service work on distribution issues, build platforms, assist in diligence around various offerings and what those might look like. And so it's also wonderful to be able to have the technologies that we can, like I said, work in collaboration with our client to figure out what might work best for them, pull out, which service providers might work best, and what sort of other technologies can be at their fingertips. How to show them or help them, best promote best practices within their firm, and with respect to successfully growing the funds they're managing.
Yeah, it's important to note that these are tools, right? These are tools that law firms are using, that our clients are using to help deliver service. There are very famous stories now of attorneys who were sanctioned for using generative technology to draft entire motions. A Colorado lawyer who was sanctioned, really, the excuse that they gave was they were burned out. They needed to generate something quickly. The lawyers in LA who had a half a dozen citations that were phantom citations. They didn't really exist, and they didn't really cop to it. They actually blamed it on a younger associate, which is horrible. And then the New York case, which is a famous case as well, of lawyers who also had phantom citations in their briefs. These are worst of breed cases, and so this is not to be used for that purpose. Interestingly, they took the opposite view of the California case, and they blamed. They said detrimental reliance. Who would think that the generative AI would actually make things up as opposed to draw from the universe? So, a sound practice is that these are tools that we are implementing in order to keep pace with both competition and the market, and knowing what the limitations of some of those technologies are.
So speaking of limitations, Bill, maybe you can describe what sort of back testing Thompson Hine is doing with respect to these technologies, and just to guarantee that they are performing as intended.
Sure. So before we move forward with any consideration of a tool, the firm's security team vets the technology and provider using a robust security framework prior to any use, ensuring that we have good security practices, encryptions, and other safeguards in place. If a tool does not pass that screen, it doesn't get any farther, right? That's the threshold question for us. From the earliest stages of selecting a technology which we might consider, we develop use cases and we ask the vendors to show us what their responses would look like on use cases that we have developed instead of the use cases that the vendors have developed. Because most assuredly, the technology will work with the use case that the vendors have developed. But that might not be the use case that we want. Once we decide to move forward with the tool, we have a formal change control procedure where we have documented methodologies for calibrating. We test all of our technologies with real-world examples in closed, secure beta testing environments. We assess the quality of the inputs and the outputs and workflows. We use a reliable and very common methodology called parallel testing, which involves real, not dummy data that was used and relied upon in the prior existing environment. If we put the same data through the new system being tested and get the same results, then that technology passes this test and can be deployed.
We actually have a question in the chat. So the question is, how do you think generative AI will affect the monetization of legal services? I don't know if anyone has any thoughts around that.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm not sure how popular they are. I think that the industry is going to have to come to grips with how we are going to change the way that legal services are paid for. Since at least 2007, I have been on my soapbox saying the billable hour is dying, the billable hour is dying, and it's not dead yet. It's sort of like the Monty Python movie, not dead yet. But I think that generative AI and the speed with which responses are going to be generated is going to impact the way that legal services get priced. But I also think we need to be realistic here. The analogy that I draw, and I think it's a good analogy, is to computerized legal research. Once computerized legal research became sort of part of the standard of care, we spend less time actually finding precedent and more time applying precedent. And I think one of the things that generative AI technologies is going to help us do is spend less time creating the first draft and more time polishing to make sure that the draft is the argument is crafted as best as it can be. So I think there will be an impact. I think it's a little unclear what the impact is going to be.
And most scholars looking at this say in terms of research, the arms race is essentially already done. That everyone is using electronic research and results. And so as a result, the economic benefit that you would have gotten from that is also being applied by your adversaries. There are particular industries that a lot of legal scholars say would be outsized in the benefits of AI and AI tools. In-house departments, for example, it's predicted will be able to conduct other routine services that sometimes are normally done by law services. They will be a big beneficiary. The counterweight to that is that class action is going to be democratized, and large institutions are a significant advantage in countering class action suits. It's predicted that that is going to create a proliferation, actually, of class action suits as they are able to use technologies to look at vast amounts of data for trends or other things that represent market inefficiencies or problems in the market. And so there are institutions that are really studying this. Thompson, Hine, obviously taking advantage of all these technologies and these tools to help their clients. But it was a study, I think, by Thompson Reuters that said that everyone is using technology to do the research. Bill makes a great point. This really allows us to spend less time on the things that AI is able to do, like finding the precedent. Predictive technologies and AI is not so great yet at applying the meaning to the things that they find. And so, humans are not obsolete.
Well, the other group that's using generative AI are the regulators. The SEC has said that. And so they've been on a tear with respect to rulemaking, and they've also beefed up their enforcement division. So it's not just the, so in terms of legal services, where there's more activity from the SEC, it keeps us with a steady job, unfortunately. Okay, well, we're just about to the end. I don't know, Mark or James, if either of you have any predictions, short-term, long-term, with respect to AI for the business of law or for legal work in general.
I would have one interesting notation. A lot of folks have been watching the do not pay case out of California, which is referred to as the robo-lawyer, where there was an existential question: what is the practice of law? And technology, as it is wont to do, will always push this question forward. The ABA has had something to say about that, and most states are creating model rules around that, about what is not the law. There's already a rule in the rules of practicing law that your product has to have levels of competency, so that even if you are using AI tools, that they have to be checked for whatever it is that is being generated. It's also the question of there are cases now about e-discovery and whether or not the prompts that you put into your searches for discovery are work product, or whether a party is entitled to do that. And I'll be watching those cases, because that will be important to the work that we do and our clients. And then there's very titillating news and information that I always like to watch on lawsuits, like the Taylor Swift lawsuit, the appropriation of her likeness, which has been fascinating, and the Elon Musk lawsuit over the whole future of OpenAI, which was filed just a few days ago, and he wanted to put in his opening statement that he invented the term OpenAI. So I'm watching that.
Of course he did. All right. Well, that actually concludes our coffee chat for today. As we mentioned, we are going to have a series, and so we will be doing future coffee chats around this topic with respect to legal technologies. We'll make sure that you receive the invitations to those programs and any additional details. Our next coffee chat is actually going to be on April 10th, and that is the third part in our three-part series with respect to how to become a member of a mutual fund board. This third part deals with interviewing for the board seat. So it should be really fantastic. We have a great panel. And I just want to thank everyone for attending today. Bill, Mark, James, thank you for your insights and information. And we look forward to seeing everyone at a future coffee chat. If you have any other questions, please feel free to submit them or send me an email, and we'll make sure that we answer the question for you. So thank you.
It's a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Enjoy the rest of your day.